In Good Shape, your health magazine on DW, featuring an interview with a different expert every week.
With me in the studio today is Germany's Dr. House, Professor Dr. Jürgen Schäfer, the man we just saw in this report. And the patient we just saw in this report was your patient, actually.
That's right.
Yeah, and he was suffering for years and years. So why didn't the doctors, the GP he went to, came to a solution?
Well, history was like 1.5 years after he had a hip replacement. And when he got problems with the thyroid, and he got unknown fever, and he got blind and deaf, and his heart was worsening. So there had been different symptoms coming up over a time period of 1.5 years. Now, at the end, it's not so easy to find out that a metal hip prosthesis is causing a metal intoxication. That's very, very rare. And so I can't blame anyone, but we didn't think on the first line on this disorder. But you have to keep in mind that for us in a university clinic and being at the end of this disease, it's almost very easy to diagnose with intoxication compared to the primary physician. So if you are later on the progress, it's easier to diagnose.
Because you're later on in the disease, you can see it more clearly than in the first place. So now you're heading the Center for Undiagnosed Diseases in Marburg. So how did you come to choose that kind of specialty?
Matter of fact, it's not quite voluntarily. I'm an interventional cardiologist by my training. And my research interest and also my teaching covers rare diseases. And I started with Dr. House, a lecture. I gave a lecture to our students on Dr. House diagnosing rare diseases.
So you were a fan of the show?
Well, I am, right.
Yeah, right.
And, my wife as well, and my mother-in-law who lives in Colombia also. So it's we are all very eager to watch Dr. House. And matter of fact, this intoxication, metal intoxication, was also part of a show from Dr. House. So it was easier for a House fan to diagnose this metal intoxication, for it was a topic in Dr. House. But I must say, we would have diagnosed it also without Dr. House.
Without Dr. House's help. Right. So you just slipped into this kind of subspecialty of internal medicine. Right. So when you hear the term undiagnosed disease, it might, or a rare disease, it might imply that it's very, very rare. So how rare must a disease be to be a rare disease?
Well, by definition, you talk on rare diseases once it happens in 1 out of 2,000 people. So it's considered 5 in 10,000 always is a rare disease.
And are rare diseases on the rise? Do you think they're more often nowadays than they've been, say, 10, 20 years ago?
No, not really. I think we do have a total of 7,000 to 8,000 different rare diseases. So there is a huge number of rare diseases, and we do have much better diagnostic procedures in the meantime. We are able to diagnose the genes and all elements. It's very easy to diagnose rare diseases compared to 10 or 20 years ago.
So the test kits are getting better. So
right.
And if someone is suffering from, say, unexplained symptoms, what should the patient do?
Well, always. You need to go to your practitioner and ask him what he would recommend you to proceed for diagnostics. And usually he would send you to a specialist. And if a specialist would not find anything, he would send you to a university clinic or like in a center like ours where you look carefully.
Those rare diseases might be a real psychological burden to the patients. How important is it that they got a name for the diagnosis?
Matter of fact, it's very important for most of our patients to know what they really have. And it is also important for social support systems, for health insurance companies, for retirement funds, that you have a name for the disease you have and where you can deal with. So it is usually, as Sarah said, a very important thing to know.
Many patients are considered that their disease is psychosomatic, so that there's a psychological reason for that. And they go from doctor to doctor and they say you don't have anything. So how do you proceed with this in your office?
Well, it's not easy, you know. It's hard to diagnose all with psychological, psychiatric diseases. It's more complicated than to diagnose a myocardial infarction. That's easy compared to psychosomatic diseases. Now, in our team, in our center, it's very important with a very experienced psychosomatic physician is part of our team. Who looks very carefully on the reports and medical histories of our patients. And by all my experience, I must say, many patients end up in this psycho case, which don't belong there. It might be some somatic disease. It's leading to psychological problems, but it's certainly a challenging problem.
Yeah, and one of the problems for me as a GP, I mean, I'm a primary care physician. I learned in my training that if you've got a patient with a psychosomatic disorder, you shouldn't do too many tests to them because it may fixate the psychological condition. You shouldn't put them through an MRI scan, for example. What do you say to that?
That's true, but a matter of fact, at the end, you must be extremely sure on your diagnosis. And if there is some doubt, you know, you have to proceed with diagnostics, and there's no excuse. You need to prove the diagnosis, and for this you need to do tests. Now, another thing is, if you are sure that the diagnosis is stable, you can stop diagnosing. Okay, but as long as there are doubt in the progress, you have to continue.
So you should go on there. Do you think what should happen in the field of research in rare diseases? What's the outlook into the future?
Well, I think we have a huge potential. I think medical research is enormously increasing. And I had the pleasure to work for 4 years at the NIH, at the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. And what I would like to see in Germany also, but many other countries in the world as well, a clinical center like at the NIH. You know, they have a Building 10 clinical center, and that's an excellent research option for everyone. And where you can send in your patients and they get diagnosed from everything. And I think
that would help me as a primary care physician a lot, so I can know that my patients are in good hands. Professor Schäfer, thanks so much for being with us on In Good Shape today.
I thank you.